In the last couple years, Bethesda has managed to do something that other developers have been trying to do, but haven't really accomplished. Bringing deep role-playing games to a wide audience. First with Oblivion in 2006, and then Fallout 3 in 2008, and now The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Bethesda is really becoming adept at making role-playing games that anyone and everyone can enjoy. They have achieved this not by dumbing the game down or simplifying the role-playing elements, but by creating huge worlds full of things to do and giving the players unlimited freedom to do whatever they want. And in just about every way imaginable, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim is the pinnacle of open-world role-playing games.
What in Oblivion is that?
Sentries, what do you see?
Like past Elder Scrolls games, Skyrim has a lengthy main quest, this time dealing with the return of dragons thousands of years after they went extinct. You play as the Dragonborn, the first of your kind in over 200 years. The main quest centers around uncovering the mysteries behind the return of the dragons, and how it ties into your destiny as the Dragonborn.
Alduin Thuri. Alak Voljuk Teed Bolan.
The main quest is much better than past Bethesda games like Fallout 3 or Oblivion, and features great variety and some very interesting story elements. Of course, like any good open world game, you're free to do the main quest at your own pace or even simply ignore it altogether. And there's plenty of additional content to keep you occupied. Like Oblivion, there are also faction quest lines, with the Thieves Guild and Dark Brotherhood returning from that game. There's also the College of Winterhold, which serves as the mage faction, and the Companions for warriors. Instead of the Arena, which was in Oblivion, there is now the Civil War. This involves two warring factions, the Imperial Legion and the Stormcloak Rebellion, and you must pick a side and turn the tide of the war. In addition to the main quest and faction quests, there are also literally hundreds of side quests of varying length and complexity. Pretty much all the quests in the game are awesome, and you can easily spend hundreds of hours trying to complete every last quest.
Step forward.
Who are you?
For the most part, Skyrim is structured like past Elder Scrolls games. You can create your character picking from one of 10 classic races, which consists of 4 types of humans, 3 types of elves, orcs, the feline Khajiit, and lizard-like Argonians. However, unlike past games, you no longer have to pick a class. Skills still level up as you use them, but instead of only gaining experience towards your overall level from your 7 class skills, you gain experience from every skill. This gives you much more freedom over the type of character you want to play, which means you can still have fun and level up without being locked into initial decisions you made without understanding the game. Another change is that you no longer allocate points to various attributes when you level up, instead picking either magicka, health, or stamina and raising that value by 10. This may seem like dumbing down, but it really works well, making your leveling up improvements much more immediately visible, and removing some confusion. You no longer have to deal with questions like, what's the difference between intelligence and willpower, or what does luck even do? When you level up, you also get to choose one Fallout 3 style perk, but here they are all divided into different perk trees, with each corresponding to a skill. Perks will have skill level requirements, as well as sometimes requiring you to have previous perks in that tree. This is where you have the ability to customize your character even further. You can basically make a class as you go by choosing perks in specific trees. This works much better than picking a class from the beginning, and lets you make a character you want after understanding how the game works, as opposed to picking something from the very beginning and being stuck with it. The dungeon designs are another high point, and a big improvement over past Elder Scrolls games. No longer are dungeons simply mazes that are indistinguishable from one another, but now consist of many unique and interesting elements. Each dungeon feels different, and with over 150 in the game, this is a remarkable achievement. The Dwarven ruins are especially interesting, and they're full of steam-powered machinery and deadly automated guardians. The user interface has also received a major overhaul and mostly works better. The inventory is sorted into tabs, which makes navigating it much easier. The only drawback to this is that, unlike past games, you can no longer sort items by weight or damage, making it harder to see what's weighing you down when your inventory is full. Hotkeys now work completely different, and this is a big improvement. No longer do you have to deal with the annoying diagonal directions on the D-pad. You simply tag any items or spells you want as favorites, and they are added to an alphabetical list that can be accessed during combat. This change allows you to access as many items or spells as you want, as opposed to having to bring up your inventory during combat for anything other than your hotkeys. Quests are also excellently designed and sorted into an intuitive quest log that separates major quests from the less substantial ones. But even the miscellaneous fetch quests or bounties are well worth doing, because the writing and dialogue are usually great, and oftentimes you get to explore one of the game's many expertly designed dungeons. What it amounts to is hundreds of hours of worthwhile content, whether you're killing a mine full of spiders or slaying dragons. Skyrim also features several different crafting systems, and each serves a specific role. There's alchemy, smithing, cooking, and enchanting. These elements are there for those that want to do them, but are entirely optional, just giving you more freedom over how you want to play the game.
What was that?
Combat in Skyrim is fundamentally the same as Oblivion, but every aspect of combat feels refined. Melee remains mostly the same, but just feels better. A combination of improved animations and better sound effects has resulted in much more satisfying tactile-feeling melee combat than past games in the series. Archery also benefits from better animations and sound effects for a much more satisfying experience. The biggest area improvement, though, has to go to magic. In Oblivion, every spell looked the same. Whether it was a flame spell that did 5 damage or one that did 150, it looked and acted exactly the same. But in Skyrim, there are several different effects for each spell type, such as a stream of flames, a projectile firebolt, or an exploding fireball. Instead of a frost spell being a white fireball like in Oblivion, you can fire sharp shards of ice or create a deadly frost storm. Non-combat magic has remained mostly the same as Oblivion, which is great. You can still create light in dungeons, breathe underwater, and do various other things in the several schools of magic, including alteration, illusion, and restoration. The changes to combat are overall mostly cosmetic, but these slight cosmetic changes really result in combat, especially magic, feeling like it's a lot better than Oblivion, even if it's really mostly the same. The dragon fights are some of the best moments in the game. There are 2 types of dragon encounters, ones where you seek out a dragon to fight, and one where they attack you randomly. Every once in a while, a dragon will attack you without warning, and it can really take you by surprise. Some of the best moments occur when you're just simply walking along, minding your own business, and all of a sudden fire is raining down from the sky. The actual act of fighting dragons is decent, though not exceptional, but what really makes these encounters so awesome is the spectacle of it. There's epic music playing, and the reactions of animals and villagers makes each dragon encounter unique and interesting. When you kill a dragon, you get its soul, and can use it to unlock shout abilities, which are magical words in the dragon language that grant you special abilities. As long as you've found corresponding words around the world, you can unlock a shout each time you kill a dragon. They work like spells, but instead of using your magicka reserves, they work on a cooldown timer. Shouts have varying effects such as fire breath, disarming your enemies, or slowing down time. The more words of power you find in dragons you kill, the more shouts you unlock, and they provide a nice wrinkle to the combat. The province of Skyrim is strikingly beautiful. The land is simply enormous, and you'll be seeing snow-covered mountains, lush green forests, raging rivers, serene lakes, and wide-open fields. The visual fidelity is simply stunning, especially for an open-world game, and everything looks fantastic. The lighting and the weather effects are real standouts, and it's hard not to be taken aback by how good the game looks. The audio is also of top quality, with the music consisting of sweeping scores, epic battle music, and solemn exploring tunes.
Good cheese if you're after a bite to eat.
A major complaint people had with Oblivion was the number of voice actors. There were only about 10 actors in that game, playing over 100 roles, and hearing two people with the same voice talking to each other was an all too common occurrence. Luckily, Skyrim has over 70 voice actors. You'll still hear occasional repeat voices, but most main characters have a unique voice. Many characters have Norse-sounding accents, and these are mostly good, save for a few that sound kinda ridiculous.
Someone stole your sweet roll. Be glad you're here.
Bethesda games are notorious for having tons of bugs and glitches, and Skyrim, unfortunately, is no different. Now, with that said, Skyrim is by far the most stable game Bethesda has ever made. The game maintains a mostly constant 30 frames per second, and I only experienced a couple crashes in my 45 or so hours with the game. Most of the bugs I encountered were minor things, like NPC scripting or physics glitches, and very rarely was anything game-breaking. In an open-world game like this, with so much going on, glitches are really inevitable, and the fact that there are so few in this game is really remarkable. Without any hyperbole intended, Skyrim is the best game Bethesda has ever made, by far, and is a strong contender for Game of the Year or even Game of the Generation. But really, it's not simply a game, it's a living world. Bethesda really is the only developer that puts this amount of content into their games. With this holiday release schedule full of 5-hour campaigns, on-disc DLC, and online passes, Skyrim is a breath of fresh air when it comes to real value. The sheer amount of content, and great content at that, makes this game worth any price, and it really is a game you can recommend to anyone. Whether or not you're a fan of fantasy or role-playing games is irrelevant. You will love Skyrim. My final score for The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim is a well-deserved 9.9. Head on over to GamingIrresponsibly.com for the full written review and other gaming news, reviews, and articles.